Hey guys, this morning I want to talk about extraction of coffee. Now, the extraction of coffee is taking our freshly roasted coffee beans and pouring an espresso shot into whatever cup that we're serving in. Now, the espresso shot and the extraction and the way we do that is without doubt the most important aspect of everything to do with our coffee. Okay, a lot of focus is always placed on milk and latte art and sort of presentation, but if the extraction of the coffee is not right, the coffee will not taste balanced and won't taste the way we want it to. And no matter how much we try and trick that with chocolate sprinkles and sugar and things, it won't work. So we need to get the espresso extraction exactly right. Okay. Now there's three main parts to extracting coffee. Obviously we're using fresh coffee beans. If I take my handle here, this is a portafilter and inside is a group basket. Okay, I'm going to dose my freshly ground coffee into the handle. That's called my dose. Okay, the second part is the grind of the coffee. So that's the actual particle size of the coffee itself. So how coarse and how fine. Now that will determine how the water flows through our dose of coffee. The third variable is the tamping. So a lot of places now use a puck press, which is an automation, or a hand tamp. Now what this does is it actually compresses the coffee down, okay? Now, the biggest variable is naturally our coffee grind. We need to get that right, so get that flow right. But the dose is super important because you want that to be really consistent, okay? So for the case of this, I'm using a set of scales. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm dosing 22 grams of coffee. Okay, so that's perfect. It's within 0.2 grams. Now I'm using a dosing cup. These are quite popular now. They're really accurate and it's a good way. So I can quickly distribute the coffee to have a level surface before I tamp, okay? So if I'm using a puck press in, and that gives me a solid bed of coffee that's evenly compressed and flat. I go to my espresso machine. I always run a little bit of water through prior to extracting to make sure there's no loose coffee grinds, dirty coffee grinds from the previous shot. I engage and I start my extraction. Now what I'm looking for is I'm looking for concentration. I'm looking for color. I'm looking at to be not too fast but nice and slow, but even. I don't want massive fluctuations or bubbliness when it's extracting. So I want it to be nice and smooth and even and giving me really good color and viscosity and richness. And finish. Now I'm going to break this down in a next video to talk about the actual time and the actual recipes that we do. But it's so important to get that espresso extraction right. Why? Because as I said, it performs the base of all the coffee. And when I taste it, I want it to be balanced. So when I taste the coffee, I'm always looking at three things. I'm looking at the acidity, which is the brightness of the coffee. I'm looking at the body and the weight on the palate. And then I'm looking at the aftertaste. So I want a level of acidity, a little bit of brightness. I want to feel that weight and depth of flavor of the coffee. And then I want the aftertaste to sit and linger. I don't want it to be short and dissipate really quickly. I don't want it to be really over acidic and sour. So getting that balance of the coffee is super important. That way when you add milk to it, you know you're going to get depth of flavor. It's going to carry through the milk and taste exactly how we want. So espresso extraction, super important. That's just the basis of it. And then I'll talk you through the variables shortly.